When traditional career paths, societal expectations, or inherited blueprints for life stop working, people usually burn out. And when they do, human psychology tends to default to one of two distinct coping mechanisms. The first default is pop culture hedonism. You pursue short-term, egoistic gratification. You try to consume or distract your way out of the problem. Biologically, you are chasing dopamine. You hit it with immediate rewards, scrolling, shopping, partying, looking for a quick chemical spike. But those spikes cannot generate lasting satisfaction. This chart plots a happiness baseline over time. Notice the spikes when a new stimulus is introduced, but the line always drops right back to a flat, unchanging baseline. This is the hedonic treadmill. To feel that exact same high again, you are forced to find a bigger, more intense stimulus next time. If the treadmill exhausts you, you might fall into the second default, pop culture nihilism. You adopt a cynical, apathetic attitude. Caring hurts, so you decide that nothing matters to relieve the crushing pressure of expectations. This surrender brings intense boredom, detachment, and clinical despair. The philosopher Martin Heidegger observed that this specific kind of profound boredom strips away all engagement, making existence itself feel completely pointless. Treating these ideas as superficial excuses to party or give up is a broken operating system. Genuine hedonism and nihilism are not pop culture tropes. They are rigorous, incredibly demanding frameworks for parsing reality. True philosophical hedonism and nihilism operate on strict logic, not emotional reactions. They force you to follow their premises to the absolute end. Look at this quadrant chart. We are plotting the search for meaning against the focus on subjective experience. Pop hedonism and pop nihilism sit down here in the low-effort, low-investment regions. But watch what happens to the real philosophical versions. They move into the high-intensity corners. They sit at opposing extremes, requiring immense cognitive discipline to maintain. To figure out which of these systems actually works, we need to strip away the theory and force them into a strategic showdown across three arenas: purpose, morality, and reality. We start our comparison matrix with Arena 1, existential purpose. Under nihilism, the rule is blunt. The universe is indifferent, and life contains absolutely no objective higher purpose. Accepting this destroys your inherited life goals. The career ladder, the societal milestones, all of it is exposed as a human invention with no cosmic backing. If you survive that initial crisis, you get the trade-off: radical freedom. As philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre argued, because there is no cosmic meaning, you are completely free to invent your own values from scratch. Our competitor on the matrix is prudential hedonism. Here, well-being is calculated by a single equation. Your life is good only if your pleasure outweighs your pain. This gives you a highly focused, mathematical metric for making decisions. If a choice maximizes long-term pleasure and minimizes pain, you do it. The trade-off is the paradox of hedonism. Psychological studies show if you aim directly at happiness, you usually miss. Meaning cannot be passively downloaded. You must either painstakingly author it from nothing or discover it indirectly while enduring uncomfortable struggles. Let's move to row 2 on the matrix, morality and ethics. Moral nihilism argues that moral facts simply do not exist in the natural world. This grants complete liberation from conventional guilt, religious dogma, and societal shame. You are no longer bound by an invisible rulebook. The cost of this liberation is the erosion of objective social trust. Without shared moral facts, you are forced to navigate a society built entirely on mutual self-interest. Returning to the matrix, the hedonist alternative is utilitarianism. This dictates a strict moral duty to maximize overall happiness for the greatest number of people. You gain a highly actionable, mathematical approach to doing good. You evaluate actions by how much total suffering they reduce. But the math has a dark side. A strict utilitarian calculation can justify harsh actions against a minority if it benefits the majority. Discarding traditional morality leaves you with a stark choice. You either navigate your relationships by cold self-interest, or you navigate them by cold mathematics. We finish the matrix with row 3, reality and knowledge. Radical epistemological nihilism questions everything, asserting that absolute truth or knowledge cannot be justified. This extends to mereological nihilism, which claims composite objects don't even exist. A house isn't real, it is just elementary particles arranged housewise. This total intellectual deconstruction makes daily life functionally impossible. You have to rely on subjective language games just to communicate, knowing none of it represents absolute truth. On the hedonist side of the matrix, we have axiological hedonism. This asserts that pleasure is the single exclusive source of intrinsic value. You get extreme clarity of priorities. Money, knowledge, and power are entirely worthless on their own. They only hold value if they act as instruments to purchase pleasure. The philosopher Robert Nozick exposed the flaw here. If pleasure is the only metric, hedonism cannot logically distinguish between a difficult, authentic, real-world experience and living comfortably plugged into an artificial simulation. At their logical extremes, both philosophies detach you from reality. Nihilism deconstructs reality until nothing is left, and hedonism willingly accepts an artificial simulation if it feels good enough. These pure, extreme versions of philosophy do not survive contact with real life. To make them useful, we have to synthesize them. This decision tree acts as a diagnostic tool. Look at the top node. What is your primary source of friction? Your path splits between burnout and lack of joy. If you're an overachiever suffocating under obligations, follow the burnout path directly to active nihilism. Friedrich Nietzsche championed this concept. You deploy active nihilism aggressively to dismantle inherited values, societal expectations, and corporate ladders. You use its destructive negativity to clear your psychological slate. Active nihilism cures burnout by destroying the expectations causing it. But it leaves behind a heavy, non-delegable burden. You are now fully responsible for authoring your own meaning. Now follow the second path on the decision tree. If your friction is a lack of joy, you arrive at qualitative hedonism. Instead of chasing intense, short-term bodily spikes, you prioritize subtle, high-quality pleasures, deep relationships, engaging art, and philosophy. By investing in quality over intensity, you achieve sustainable eudaimonia, a state of deep well-being that successfully resists the hedonic treadmill. This path requires immense self-discipline. You have to delay gratification and endure short-term discomfort to build long-term depth. Each philosophical tool has a distinct functional utility. Nihilism is the wrecking ball you swing to tear down a house that is suffocating you. Hedonism is the architectural blueprint for the new house. The optimal human operating system avoids committing to one absolute ideology forever. Success requires accurately diagnosing your current stage of life and picking up the exact right tool for the job.